and especially to His Holiness Devamrita Swami and all the senior devotees. Thank you very much, everyone, for keeping yourselves in such high consciousness so that you'd be attracted to such a service as saving the world by distributing the Gaudiya literature. And to that end, I'd like to just move forward in the short time that we have to offer some words of inspiration. The first, I'm going to read a few words from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who writes about the distribution of Gaudiya literature. The Madhva Gaudiya literature enshrines the account of the career and teachings of Sri Chaitanya and his associates from the pens of the eternal servants of the Lord. They not only rank with revealed literature of the world, but furnish the only complete divine dispensation for all ages, and the specific dispensation for the present age. The reason why the promulgation of the divine dispensation has not been followed by the establishment of unadulterated theism all over the world is to be sought in our neglect to try to understand Gaudiya literature by the only method of approaching the transcendental subject through the medium of the spiritual guide. The fear of being victimized by the quacks and pseudo-gurus need not trouble those who do not themselves intend to be so victimized in their quest of the absolute. It is imperatively necessary for all persons who really wish to make the spiritual acquaintance of the Gaudiya literature to engage in the quest of bona fide Chaitanyites. If they are themselves not in earnest or are disposed to be content with anything less than knowledge of the absolute revealed by the Gaudiya literature, they are doomed to failure or to fall into the hands of pseudo-gurus. But no really cautious person who knows his own mind need miss the sight of the bona fide devotee of Godhead if he is really in need of the service of the divinity. The Gaudiya literature will be translated into all the languages of the world by the agents of the divine mercy at the appointed time. There will also, no doubt, spring up a mighty host of pseudo-exponents of an immense body of spurious Gaudiya literature, as has been the case in the past. This is to be expected by all really thoughtful persons, but nothing can have the least power of depriving a person of the mercy of the real agents of divine mercy except one's deliberate refusal to avail of the same when it will be offered at his very door in a perfectly recognizable form. As soon as a single person will have conceived the sincere desire of undertaking the promulgation of the tidings of the Gaudiya literature to the peoples of this world, he is thereby enrolled among the agents of divine mercy with the power to forward the fulfillment of this expressed wish of the Supreme Lord. The Gaudiya literature will not long remain confined to the Bengali-speaking people. It will, in a short time, expand and display its full brilliancy throughout the medium of all the languages, including those of birds, beasts, and the vegetable tribes. From the article Madhva Gaudiya Literature from the Harmonist, June 1932. Thank you, everyone, for helping to liberate the vegetable tribes and everybody else in the world. So I have a few points about our organized system for distributing all over the world as a team. It's vital to work together in order to get the kind of capacity that we need by sharing best practices and enthusiasm and feeling as one. And I'm going to show a few slides that will include the official logo and announcement for our Live to Give campaign, which will be forthcoming. They're just coming up on the screen right now as we speak. They just haven't manifest yet. They're avyakta. And then I will describe or list the success principles that we've uncovered, not an exhaustive list, but some of the main ones that we found have been helpful ever since the pandemic started. And our current campaign, which is ongoing, is Live to Give 21. also called the Prabhupada Marathon, is the overarching theme, but its brand is Live to Give, following the footsteps of the greatest giver. Prabhupada had named himself as an insignificant beggar. However, he's neither a beggar nor insignificant, but his mood indicates the mood that we can emulate. The goal for the globe is 2.2 million, and these will go out in multiple languages. We have 7 continents that we're working with all over the world called the G7. And on every continent, there's consensus and leadership at the top level, at the executive level, at the working level. And then there's masses of people in our congregations that will want to rise up and reach this goal of 2.2 million for what it makes of us to achieve the goal. Here are some success principles. The first is assume it can be done. We have every right to do this. In normal communication, this is taboo. Assumption is often a misled idea or misleading idea, because there's a way in which we don't know what other people are thinking, or we don't have enough information. Therefore, we assume something and it causes perturbation. However, when we're dealing with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his movement, and we reasonably and collectively set goals, we can assume that it can be done because we're the instruments, we're not the doers. And Prabhupada assumed that it could be done. That is, following the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which was to spread Krishna consciousness to every town and village. Certainly a formidable idea. However, he assumed it could be done because, as Kaviraj Goswami mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the greatest spiritual capitalist. So if you have an idea to spread the Sankirtan movement, that becomes your fortunate impetus in life. To do so, Mahaprabhu will sign the check, just as a venture capitalist who sees potential in someone will hand over resources so that it can be done. So there's a way in which, when we look at goals, we can also take the other side and make a long list of why it can't be done. This is illegal. It's not a tenable process in the Krishna consciousness movement. We, as spiritualists who depend solely on Krishna's mercy, eschew the idea of listing the reasons why something can't be done. And therefore, we will have to repeat this mantra again and again amongst our team members so that we're able to stay on an upward trajectory. So we assume it can be done, and then we work backwards from there and figure out what the steps are. The next is encourage the heck out of everyone, because everyone has potential. The only thing that holds the team members back is a sense of being overwhelmed by the circumstances of being surrounded by material nature. And therefore, it's important for us to reach out and give encouragement to every living entity. The heart is the driver of the chariot of the body. The word encourage comes from a French word, cœur, which means the heart. Misgivings arise within the heart quite naturally in this environment of the material world. And therefore, the first duty of team members amongst themselves is to encourage one another that, yes, it can be done. And yes, we are doing the right thing. And if we don't even do more than that, that's high service, to be able to encourage others. But do encourage the heck out of them. The next is to develop Katvanga consciousness. Last year, we noted that although some people hadn't, for one reason or another, heard about the deadlines and the goals until what seemed to them a kind of a late date. They were able to rally within a very short amount of time and achieve much more than they imagined they could. We take this principle from Maharaj Katvanga, who within just a moment was able to achieve the status of one who left the material world because of his strong contribution, especially in the last moment of his life. So the principle is to do what you can with the time you have. You may be surprised because, again, it's a spiritual process. So don't worry when you start. Just lean into it and remember Maharaj Katvanga. The next is to be steeped in Jaladuta consciousness. Without the exhilaration of taking risks for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, life is a boring mess. There are quarrels, there are problems, intractable situations. However, when we do something bold for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, step on our Jaladuta, whatever that might be, take some responsibility for spreading Krishna consciousness in the realm that we have some domain, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will support us. And not only that, all the problems that we'll encounter, and we will be worth it. We don't mind problems as long as they're worth it. And so we have to be going somewhere. We have to be going towards the mission, fulfilling the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Jaladuta consciousness. So don't get bored in life is our principle. Don't be weighed down by the problems. Catch your Jaladuta. Next mantra is how we do is more important than what we do. It's possible to become so expedient with one's goals that we forget about human kindness or kindness of spiritual kindness and consideration of how important it is to give attention to each individual when we deal with them, leave people with good impression and so forth. Follow Krishna's directives in chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, how we should interact with others. Don't become our enemy's enemy. Don't be dependent on ordinary course of circumstances and so forth. This means how we do something. What we do is somewhat insignificant in the sense that we can always do more. And I'll talk about that principle later. So if we concentrate on how we're doing something and doing it in a way that emulates the pure devotees and follows Krishna's instructions, then we're properly situated, and what we do will manifest automatically. Mission-oriented management. Management is meant to manage the results of our mission, which is to reach out to as many souls as possible, to build systems so we can expand unlimitedly and without stoppage. And because of that, people are going to want in. They want to have what we have. And management then means to develop the systems, the habitat, and everything necessary to take care of those people and the venerable Vaishnavas who are giving their lives for spreading Krishna consciousness altogether. This requires alacrity and expertise, and this is what management is all about. Otherwise, we manage on a plateau, and it's not worth it. So we have to keep the mission vital and remember what management is for, mission-oriented management. And regarding accomplishments, we're finding that emphasizing the team over the individual is effective in enthusing devotees to all participate. When they feel like they're part of a greater team, then more people get involved. When it's about individuals, the 80-20 rule comes into play, and there is a smaller percentage of people who excel. And then the larger percentage that can't keep pace with the smaller percentage then don't feel like participating as much. However, when we emphasize the team goals, team results, glorifying the team over the individual, we find that the masses get involved, and a lot of people each doing a little bit is more stable and is much more productive, will do much bigger. The individual is always, we always note the individuals. Nobody ever misses that, the enthusiasm of a particular person or persons who are especially productive and enthusiastic. Everyone honors them. But we're finding that emphasizing the team rather than going out of our way to try to name all the individuals and their individual accomplishments, the team approach is much more effective. As I mentioned earlier, the goals are arbitrary. You can say any number you want. We can always add more zeros, even millions and billions of zeros to the goal. We pick a goal based on a reasonable number that keeps it keeps it at a level that we feel a challenge. Prabhupada said, always create a fresh challenge so the devotees want to rise up and achieve it together. And so what we're really after, as we're doing that month after month, year after year, not only in our book distribution, but in our personal sadhana, is to increase our capacity. Birds fly in the sky as high as they're able. The sky's unlimited. So it's not significant what level they're flying at. It's significant how much capacity they're developing and have they reached their full potential. So the more we endeavor to reach goals, the more we're availed of the opportunity to increase our capacity together. And this is what we're after. What it makes of us to achieve the goals, what it makes of our movement to achieve the goals. We're a giving movement. By giving, we grow. And the more we give, the more we grow. Mahaprabhu was liberal. He broke open the storehouse of the love of God, distributed its contents. He didn't discriminate. And he was prolific about how much he gave out. So the more we do that, the more we expand. And the more the contents increase, spiritual mathematics. And now we have the great honor of welcoming one of the greatest generals in the history of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who for his very youth has risked life and limb for the sake of serving the movement, and his spiritual master, and now is guiding devotees all over the planet. One of my personal mentors and one of the great heroes that I hold dear within my heart. Thank you very much, Devamrita Swami, for always coming to rally the troops for this global cause. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Magyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My head is filled with concepts upon hearing Vaisheshika Prabhu's presentation of key Sankirtan themes. I really love it. It really gives you something to wrap your mind around and strive for. The talk sent me in so many different directions of inspiration. I'm in a quandary, which direction to pursue. But I decided to settle upon a letter from Srila Prabhupada that's not well known, and to whom the letter was sent to is also not publicized. It's one of the letters from Srila Prabhupada in the kind of unknown category. You have to really dig it out from the Veda base. Inspired by Vaisheshika Prabhu's quoting Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I thought, yes, this letter would add to our delight. It's a letter I had taped on the front door of my locker in the Brooklyn Temple in 1973, when each brahmachari had a locker that was not big enough to fit anything in. But on the front door of the locker, my little box, I had this letter taped. It's a letter written to a leader who had disappointed Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was expressing his transcendental emotions. At the same time, Prabhupada was soaring through the adversity and beyond the adversity to make a transcendental declaration of solid conviction in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, regardless. So basically, it's a letter saying, look, I gave you a big opportunity. You've blown it. There's still an opportunity for you to regather yourself and rededicate yourself. But in any case, the transcendental show, so to speak, is moving on. The train is moving on. The Sankirtan train is continuing down the tracks. Are you on board? Because the train is not going to stop. Do you want the credit? So please listen. I'll skip the part where he's expressing his awareness of the disqualifications in terms of behavior of this leader, and go right to where Prabhupada is revealing his heart, his vision, and his complete conviction that Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement will spread. He says, actually, my plan is to one day be the ruling party all over the world and gradually infiltrate also your government. Throughout my life, I have never thought any small things. Only about 6 years ago, I could not even imagine how widespread and potent a force this Krishna conscious movement would become. But now I am seeing that it is simply a miracle by Krishna that we are coming to the forefront of all other spiritual cultures in the world. So I think that in the future, one day we shall become the ruling party. At least if we can do that in your country, then we may also do it everywhere else. He's talking about the USA, your country. So I am always thinking in this way, big plans on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I can understand that such plans, such big plans, will never come true unless the plan makers and the executors of the plan remain always extremely purified. That is my only credit, that I have remained pure where all others have failed. Therefore, this Hare Krishna movement is becoming stronger everywhere, while the others are failing everywhere. And this Krishna conscious movement is running simply on the purity of its regular principles. If the devotees, preachers of our movement remain always pure by sticking strictly to the rules and regulations as I've given, then without a doubt, we shall conquer all other so-called spiritual cultures in the world very soon. So I think you understand these things, but why have you forgotten them? Imagine how I am feeling when I hear such ugly rumors being spread about my oldest and most trusted disciples. Naturally, I'm very aggrieved and forlorn. But I know that whether you or someone else, the right persons will come forward to assist me in spreading Lord Chaitanya's prediction to every town and village. So Krishna has given you every facility and opportunity to yourself become one of the big chiefs or primary instruments of Krishna in this important work. But if you neglect it, then what can I do? That decision to become very responsible and cool-headed leader of men, that conviction must rest with you. So as a young devotee, I just couldn't get over this. I know the right persons will come forward. And so I very much appreciate this Sankirtan International Management conception of many hands make light work. Give everyone a chance to come aboard. Some will have more results than others, but everyone has a chance to be sincere. And because of that sincerity that's cultivated, Krishna will give instruction through the heart. Srila Prabhupada is stressing that here is opportunity. And similarly, this Live to Give campaign is giving opportunity for sincere devotional service. I think I will touch upon one last thing, if you allow me. I'll speak about it briefly because I'm so much meditating on this letter, which I just uncovered a few months ago. I hadn't seen it since 1973. But I'm so overwhelmed by Srila Prabhupada's determination and conviction. I know the right persons will come forward to assist me in spreading Lord Chaitanya's prediction to every town and village. You have the opportunity. Will you do it or will you not? But I know the right persons are coming. So this global Sankirtan mission is pulling out of the woodwork, so to speak, pulling out from under the rug, pulling out from behind the curtains, all kinds of talent, and giving them an opportunity to be the ones that Srila Prabhupada is depending on. So I'm so much appreciative. Finally, I've been meditating on the verse often quoted for presenting the various stages of bhakti. It's from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, quoted in so many shastras. Ado Shraddha Tatat Sadhu Sangha to Bhajana Kriya. Jiva Goswami says that these are the most common, this is the most common sequence, although there are many steps in the progression of bhakti. But I was reading that and thinking, I saw the whole vision of the global Sankirtan mission in this verse. That first, you start hearing about campaigns like the Live to Give. You hear about that in the Association of Devotees, and you start thinking, maybe there's something to this. And then, based on a little inclination, a little slight motivation, that's how subtle Shraddha is. You start associating with those who are active, pursuing such goals. And in their association, sadhu sangha, you start learning how to execute bhajana kriya. Yes, let's do it. It's not so intimidating as I thought. It's possible. So first, Shraddha, you hear about it. What is it to this global Sankirtan Live to Give? And what's going on here? And then you associate more with devotees and you have a desire to participate, to execute. As you do that, as you take part in these campaigns, you get nishta, because your anartas are fading away. Your selfishness is fading away. So you go from, of course, anarta nivritti to being able to absorb in these campaigns without distraction, without any hesitation. And next comes ruchi. You have a desire to do this, a desire that's directed by your intelligence. Yes, I want to do this. I'm getting a taste from it, and my intelligence confirms, my shastric intelligence confirms this is the way to go. Your taste is roaring in the right direction. But beyond that, there's asakti. Asakti means you have the desire to assist Lord Chaitanya. Let's do it. But there's no help needed of the intellect. There's no fortification of the intellect needed. It's just pouring out of you. And that's what I love about these campaigns. It just allows the potential for asakti to just pour out. And then, of course, there are the highest levels of Sankirtan in which you realize that this is something, this is a Goloka Vrindavan Navadvip phenomenon. So those are my thoughts. And I thank you all for allowing me to express them. And I thank Vaisheshika Prabhu for kindling whatever little fire is there in me to speak in this way. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, thank you so much. I'm deeply touched by hearing your words, and I wonder if we can show you a couple maps.
Please.
It's for your perusal, if you kindly glance on them. It gives an idea of what we're looking at for this part of the world. Of course, the global goal is 2.2 million. Poised to smash that goal. And here's what it looks like for Australia. You can see the pledges that the devotees have made for the various centers for numbers of Gitas. All the pledges there seem in a position that could be easily smashed. After all, Bhagavad Gita is the most popular book in the world. People are wondering where their copy is right now. Probably calling you right now, perhaps asking if they can have multiple cases to distribute to their friends. And if they forgot to call, you can remind them. And remember that always sell in bunches like bananas. Those are the total pledges right now for Australia. Here's New Zealand at 7,366. The Nourishing Soul devotees at 15. Bhakti Lounge at 6,336. ICCE, Hamilton, Auckland. Okay, Dunedin.
Dunedin.
Okay, I have to get more familiar. Scottish. Okay. That gives a kind of an overview of what it's looking like there on that side of the pond. And then, of course, we have our leading indicator country. Whatever way Fiji goes, the rest of the world goes. So we're looking at Fiji like we do at Iowa for the elections here in America. And we can see a huge amount coming out of Fiji, 724 for that little space. So heartening to see the numbers surrounding the island. It's surrounded, actually. No one can get out without getting a Bhagavad Gita. Suva 108, thank you, and so forth. Just look at those numbers. They're beautiful. And these are starting points, like looking at a little garden field where the sprouts are starting to come up, we know that where a few sprouts come up, then more sprouts will come up and it will be covered. There will be like thick with growth all over. We want to see the few points of light that we see around the perimeter fill in the whole country. Every town and village is our birthright to endeavor for, because that's our mission statement from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Maharaj, there for your consideration and blessings are the pledges. If you would kindly declare it possible and assume that we can get it done, then by your advocation, the VAC, then it will be possible.
I'm in Australia now, going from center to center. And yes, I will seek to act in my little way that these projections and goals can be smashed, as you say.
Done. It has been spoken. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
All right.
We're so grateful.
Thank you all for your association. Thank you, Vaisheshika Prabhu. I'll
Thank you, Maharaj.
take your leave now. Hare Krishna.
Lord Premanande Haribol.
Hare Hare Bol.
Okay, now we have some fun and games for everybody. There's a short break and we have a quiz. It's kind of an IQ test. So which are we taking first, Chamahini, the break or the quiz?
The quiz, Prabhu.
Okay, everybody, are you ready for a quiz? You'll have to push a button to answer the question, I think. Did I push a button? Here comes quiz time.
So dear devotees, you will see a poll show up on your end. So please use that to answer the questions. The first question is, when do you know your Sankirtan outing is a success? When you distribute at least 10 books, when you collect at least $100, or when you touch the pavement. So you'll see those options on your screen. Make sure to click the right one. We have everyone choosing when you touch the pavement. 17 responses so far, 18. We'll give it a few more seconds. Great. Everyone's got 100% on that. And our next question is, our prime directive is to raise funds to save the fallen conditioned souls, or to leave everyone with a good impression. Well, it's a little bit of a battle here between 2 and 3. We'll give it a little bit more time to settle.
Both answers are okay. But in our presentation to those who are taking up the process, to keep the bar really low, we say, to keep the atmosphere clean, to leave everyone with a good impression.
Yes, so that's the answer. All right, a few more questions to go. The next one here talks about, in expanding the Sankirtan movement, never try to think bold, focus on your obstacles, or assume it can be done. This one's a clear answer, I think. We've talked about it today. 93% saying assume it can be done. I think some just clicked wrong. You can't undo it, apparently.
No, there's some powerful thinkers here that say focus on your obstacles. They're possibility thinkers, and never try to think bold. I mean, we can justify those with Shastra. Everybody's a winner here.
Perfect. We got a couple of more questions to go for us here. The next one is, our philosophy is a lot of people doing nothing, doing a little bit, eating pakoras.
Yay.
100%. No one's, oh, someone did go for the pakoras here.
Shastra Crit, are you doing that? Okay.
Alrighty. And the last question for today's quiz show is, book distribution is outdated, not for everyone, or fun and easy?
Yay. Good work, everybody.
Thank you, dear devotees. And that's it from the quiz deck.
Thank you, Quizmaster. And now, Shamahini, do we get a short break?
If you'd like, we can have a short break, or we can go straight with the leaders.
Is there a movie and popcorn or anything like that?
But we don't have a movie today.
Okay. Since the time is short, we can go into the next section. And it's a short meeting today anyway. Everyone's used to sitting for at least 3 hours for a Zoom meeting, so this will be a short one. Now we have some check-ins from New Zealand, Fiji, Australia, and Japan. We want to hear from the devotees themselves. If we have some thoughts you'd like to share. So first one, Bhavasandi from New Zealand. Can you very briefly, because we're coming up on the hour, give us a view of what's happening there and how you're feeling? How's your team doing?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please let the humble obeisances. I thought I would just quickly share, my screen a second. Just so I've got, something more exciting than me to look at. So this is our Prabhupada marathon time, and lots of devotees are focused on book distribution. It's really exciting. So I just thought I'd show a couple of pictures of what's the kind of distribution that's happening. So we've got, this is one of the ladies. We've got a lot of masks happening in New Zealand because there's a lot of COVID restrictions. Unfortunately, Auckland is locked out of the rest of the country. But there's a lot of book distribution going on the streets, although it's very quiet. People are quite cautious. But here's a devotee with Bhagavatam set and Bhagavad Gitas doing distribution on the streets. And here's somebody with a stack of books. So we're doing little combinations of books on the street. Very blissful person there getting some books. And so everybody's masked up. And this is just a little example of a small New Zealand town, Foxton. There's inner consciousness, well-being, living books with varieties of books, and main focus is on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam sets. New Zealand is quite quiet on the streets, more sheep in New Zealand than people. But here's one of the brahmacharis distributing one of the new beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam sets to somebody he met on the street. So even though there's not many people here, people are very sincere and happy to get Srila Prabhupada's books, as you can see. And then this is one of the new, we've got a couple of new people joining the Live to Give campaign this year. One of them is the Nurturing Soul. When you spoke about how we do is more important than what we do, I really thought of this team here. They're working on a tiny little self-sustainable farm, but they have this book table and they go and meet day after day. They just meet people in these very small towns. It takes them like an hour to get anywhere, but they're very determined. They've started their goal of 15 Bhagavad Gitas. And then we also have sponsorship programs such as Moto Gita and putting books in schools and libraries. So that's people who don't have time or want to join the book distribution by sponsoring or placing books in places. We have things set up for that. And then Auckland as well, trying to emphasize the team over individuals. And like Maharaj just said, many hands make light work. So here's Divya Govinda Prabhu, he heads up one of the projects at the temple, and he's really encouraging people to get stacks of books and distribute those. So that's a very short update. And of course, we're also very excited about the World Gita Day. So individual centers are getting ready with their offerings for that. And yeah, there's also Dunedin. I've been speaking with the team down there. One devotee, Madhava Govinda Prabhu, he's very much into book distribution and Bhagavad Gita distribution, and he'll be they'll be joining in down there as well. So this is the first time we've got the South Island on the school board. Kijai.
What a brilliant presentation. Such a imaginative and sharp-looking branding that you have there, and enthusiastic devotees. Way to go, Baba Sundhi. This is fantastic. I love seeing all these centers getting involved in such organized ways and touching the hearts of the people, even in the small villages. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, some of these centers only have like 3 people in. So it's, yeah.
One thing leads to another. One thing always leads to another. We can only do one person at a time. Okay,
and these
so
small centers as well, very personal as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Per capita, we measure per capita. Okay, so now we're going to our leading indicator country with Rukmini Mohan Prabhu in Fiji. Rukmini Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. So we have established or formed our WhatsApp group, and we have the representatives from various areas: Lotoka, Singatoka, Suvan, Nandi, Nosori, Nasinu, Nabua, Batavuat, and Tavyuni, and Lambasa. So we managed to get some book distribution representatives from all these different areas, and I've been able to talk to them, and they are on board. So it's a good positive sign. And some of the devotees are very enthusiastic. For instance, in Tavua, which is a very small town, they started with 10 Bhagavad Gita, and they moved forward, and they put 18 now. So we have some very enthusiastic devotees who understand the importance of books distribution. So finally, we have a WhatsApp group as well. So I'm able to send information, whatever information I get from our Sankirtan WhatsApp group, I'm able to share it with our local representatives. And again, it's a small, moderate target, around 700 Bhagavad Gitas for this year's campaign, but it's a start nevertheless. So please bless us so that we can meet the goal, meet our pledges, and keep the devotees and inspired in distributing books. Thank you so much, Vaisheshika Prabhu and the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Rukmini Mohan Prabhu, you're going to smash that goal. Yeah, I guarantee it. I promise you. And also, you said you have a group of devotees there that understand the importance of book distribution. With that, you can conquer the world. And per capita, make no mistake, you're doing huge down there. It's amazing to watch the development. Way to go.
Thank you so much, Vaisheshika Prabhu.
No, thank you very much. Okay, we have the great treat now of inviting Vilas Manjari, one of the great innovators and frontline preachers in the world, who's here on the call today. Please go ahead, Vilas Manjari Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. So around Australia, all the devotees have made pledges and set goals. Maybe if you can just put up the map for a moment, I might just pull out just a few highlights in case there's some strategies there that might help others at the moment. So just starting up the top at Brisbane, they are just beginning a brand new Motel Gita program. And they are going about putting smart boxes into restaurants and shops where people can offer a donation, take a book out of the smart box. And for Gita Jayanti this year, they're planning to fill the temple room with a mountain of Gita gift sets to encourage all the devotees to take sets and distribute to all their friends. And then just going down, we've got Bhakti Center on the Gold Coast, a very small team. Just a few devotees there going out on Harinam. It's schoolies there at the moment, which is the end of the school year. And they're out on Harinam with all the school kids and distributing books, setting up book tables. They've set a goal for 500 Gitas. New Govardhan is joining the campaign again. So we didn't see them for most of this year, I think, but they're back again. A farm community who do a lot of outreach and a lot of preaching, a lot of book distribution. So looking forward to hearing how they go. And then down in Sydney, what we've been doing here is almost every campaign, we're putting out service for a new Sankirtan leader to run that campaign. So there's a new leader for every campaign, which really is bringing in like fresh ideas and fresh energy. So, so we've got some new ideas coming out here, and devotees have been also packing gift sets, Gitas, encouraging the whole congregation to take a box of 10 each and putting really nice little pamphlets in there so that when they give them to their work colleagues who know nothing about what the Gita is, there's a little pamphlet that gives them tips about how to read it, where to begin, who to contact for more information, and also that if they get some benefit from it and would like others to have the gift, that they can give back by sending a donation to the temple. So I'm coming to Dhruva in a moment. I won't forget Norfolk Island. We've got a little island out in the middle. Okay, he needs the mercy. Dhruva's going to get the mercy in a moment. So Canberra 100, Melbourne 2000, Adelaide 200. Oh, Hare Krishna Community and Cultural Centre 2,500. They are the real innovators. They haven't told us their plan yet, but excited to hear from them. And then in Melbourne again, lots of Gita gift sets, Harinams, book tables, in Adelaide and Perth. So all the devotees need the mercy. Now I'm going to share my screen. I just want to show something very exciting that we've just launched in Australia. Let's see if I can do this correctly. We have a new Facebook page called Sankirtan Down Under, and that's for all the book distribution in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and all the tiny little islands out there in the middle of these countries. Because since we've launched the page, we've had devotees coming from the most remote places telling us that they exist and that they're distributing books and that they want to join in too. So can everybody see the page? Yes, I think you can. Yeah. So here's Dhruva. Dhruva's on the call today. He's at Norfolk Island in the South Pacific, which is 1,600 kilometres due east of Byron Bay in Australia, has a New South Wales postcode and Antarctica as the telephone country code. I think there's only about 1,400 people living on the island. He's been distributing book for 28 years in Australia, but he moved there, I think, a year or two ago. And he's out doing book tables every weekend at the market. So he's been sharing his stories and inspiring us. Here's a picture here of his books arriving on a little boat. We've got a cargo ship out here, and we've got a tiny little boat with Dhruva's books arriving, and he's out there distributing. So he's sent a message in the chat asking for everyone's mercy. So if we can all give him our full blessings, he's a one-man team out there. And also on here, we've got Parliament, members of Parliament have been receiving books. Going down, here's our street library team, just about to complete their goal of distributing 500 books to what they call little libraries in America. This is headed by Nam Chintamani Devidasi in Australia. And we've just had our very first person turn up to the temple and say, I got a Bhagavad Gita from a street library a month ago, and I've been reading it every day. He said, it's the best book I've ever read in my life. It's changed my life. And in there, they were talking about chanting, and he came to learn about chanting. This was just a few weeks ago. And he's now chanting, there's Dhruva's book table. He's now chanting 2 rounds a day, joining the devotees on Harinam Friday nights and talking about finding a spiritual master. And all he had were Srila Prabhupada's books for 1 month, no other devotee association. And he came to the temple fully convinced this is where he needed to be. So I have pictures of Tony as well. Oh, here he is. Here's Tony. He actually walked in. He's so shy. He's the meter reader for the electricity meter at the temple. And I happened to be at the temple the day he was reading the meter. And he said, I want to talk to somebody because I got one of your books. So here's Tony. And there's one of the little street libraries he got a book from. So everybody on the call, please encourage your teams, your communities to send in their photos, send in their stories, send in their videos so we can all get inspired by seeing, as Vaisheshika Prabhu, as you were saying, the team is really about lots of people doing a little bit each. And this Facebook page is to share the stories of all the people in this region who are doing a little bit each. And that way we'll all get inspired and build our teams. So thank you very much.
That was amazing. Seeing the little boat come in really got me there. And hearing about Tony getting the book from the little library. It's just so validating of how potent the books are and how they always find their mark somewhere. Lord Chaitanya takes care of that. Thank you so much, Vilas Manjari. It was amazing. And now we're moving over to Japan. Jai Harinam Prabhu, who always assumes that it can be done and gives us the positive evidence to back up why and how it can be done, is with us now.
Thank you.
Live from Japan. Hare Krishna, Jai Harinam Prabhu. Tell us
Thank
what's
you.
happening.
Thank you, Rudy, for having me here. It's very enlightening to see all the updates from all the regions. So basically, in the Japan, we are doing our best to distribute. I would like to share some of my screen here. Okay. Yep. Okay. So here in Japan, we have created. Okay. In the Japan, we have created one line group where we are updating all our scores over here, although it's in Japanese language because we have many Japanese devotees, they are connected to it. Our latest score as of Friday, today before, is 9,183 Bhagavad Gita we have distributed so far in this year. So we are keeping update, and if somebody distributing any book, they keep posted in the line group, and then they keep each other informed. So we are connected through that. And also we have on our Facebook group where we are, if any Harinam or anything happen, we are posting our videos over there and the photos. You can see devotees are doing distribution across all the areas in Japan, someone in Osaka, someone in Tokyo, someone in Okinawa. And we are doing like the Harinam, and we are distributing books, like we put books on the display and we do Harinam, and people take the books out from there. So you can see we make this sort of book stalls over there. And recently we are organizing like the Harinam all over the Tokyo, and then different part like Osaka and others also, like the big Harinam where we put stalls there and we distribute the book there. So book distribution has really increased, and we are really keep each other informing whatever we are doing here. Of course, we are using masks. You can see in Harinam, we always use mask, and we go there and then distribute the books and distribute the prasadam over there. So this is the update we have so far from here, and we have distributed approximately, I will say 10,000. It's 9,183. So that much book we have distributed so far. And for the marathon goal, we will right now keep it 2,000 for the month of December. But we are expecting some new books to come, the Bhagavad Gita new books to come. So with that score will automatically get increased. So that's the quick update from Japan, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. It's very good to see everybody here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for bringing your effulgent demeanor and enthusiasm for all things in the Sankirtan movement, Prabhu. And great to see all the devotees in Japan. Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
It was an amazing feat this year. They got a brand new Bhagavad Gita, first new translation since the last 30 plus years. And the devotees were so enthusiastic, they organized and have been going out almost every day this year to distribute all of the books that they received in hopes of getting the next printing as soon as possible. Keep up the great work. Thank you everyone for joining. We are working towards World Gita Day. Gita Jayanti is on the 14th. World Gita Day will be celebrated on the 18th and 19th. That is, we'll have an international presentation that you can follow online, culminating with a yagya in Kurukshetra. And we'll also be announcing all the scores and the highlights at that time, split screen with multiple presentations going on around the world. And we also want to remind everybody that 2020 is our one of the largest spikes in book distribution on record in the world. And therefore, we're not dependent on circumstances, only on our conviction and rising to the levels that Maharaj was speaking of asakti, or at least nishta, in distributing books, because Lord Chaitanya is doing this. He wants it done, so it will be done. And don't worry what the circumstances are. They're only meant to direct us in such a way that we can discover novel ways of distributing and reaching people that might not have been reached if they hadn't occurred. Because I know some of you might be on lockdowns and so forth, but just our process is to find one workaround after another and just keep going, and we'll discover new means. Thanks to Shamahini and Anukul Seva for staying in contact with everybody, collecting pledges, and setting up meetings so that we can all be together and keep checking in as we're surging towards a world movement of book distribution. This is the right thing to do, by the way. It's effective. It will change the world. It's already doing. We can feel free to expand the volume incrementally and innovate and make it more and more professional and effective. We can feel free to give our hearts and souls to this service for this lifetime and invite other people to do it. It's an unassailable service. It's the seventh purpose of ISKCON, by which all the 6 aforementioned purposes will be achieved. That was Prabhupada's statement. And it is also the way that one comes closer to Krishna, because when you're going out and advertising for your friend and bringing more people closer to him, which is this very confidential hope for every living entity in the material world, then you become very close to Krishna. It's such a pleasure visiting this side of the world, and you have such excellent leadership and cooperation amongst the devotees. It's a real pleasure. Shamahini, any last announcements?
Yes, Prabhu. There are some centers around in the Far East part of the world who are still waiting for pledges. So please go ahead, send us your pledges. And we're counting days till till our next meeting, which will be on December 13th, Sunday, December 13th. That will be our next meeting. We will be in touch with the leaders to share information about that. Thank you.
Your pledge is your wedge. It's what opens up the world and your heart for bigger possibilities and more capacity. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, If you so desire, please empower our global team so that we can expand book distribution to please Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas. Please let us develop our full potential. Please let us be fearless, and please protect all the devotees as they move fearlessly through the world to distribute this divine knowledge. Thank you very much for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who resonates with this prayer in part or in whole, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpadurishcha kripasindevacha patitanam pavanibhyo
Pavanibhyo Vaishnavino
Anantakoti Vaishnavini ki jai.
Yeah.
Too big.